On today's episode of the Mark Titus Show, Joel Embiid is officially the MVP of the NBA. But are the 76ers better without him? That's what people are saying. People are asking the question. Sixers steal game one in Boston without Embiid. James Harden has 45 points. Looks like a prime James Harden, whatever that means. Looks like good version of James Harden, not the out-of-shape version of James Harden. It was a James Harden that I found kind of interesting because it felt like people were in love with James Harden again, and he's a guy that I think most NBA fans had gotten to a point where they were like, this guy sucks. I'm done watching him try to bait people into getting to the free throw line and going one-on-one and all that sort of thing. But then in the right context, as a little bit of an underdog without the MVP in the Garden in Boston, suddenly it felt like America was rallying behind James Harden's 45 points. The Sixers get the big win. But then after tonight, we just witnessed the Boston Celtics absolutely massacre the 76ers with Joel Embiid back. I'm surprised that Joel Embiid played, to be completely honest. I mean, it's cool that he did. I'm a guy who complains all the time about how superstars don't want to play, so I'm not going to say it was wrong of him, but I was surprised that he gave it a go. Credit to him for that, but yikes, that was an ass-kicking. That was an absolute ass-kicking. But I guess the Sixers got what they needed. They stole one on the road. Goes back to Philly, and as they say, defend home court. You'll be just fine. Meanwhile, out west, the Lakers take game one at Golden State. Anthony Davis, 30, 23, and 5 assists. The Lakers' defense was awesome all night. The question now is, it time to overreact? I say sure, why not? I thought this series was going to lean in favor of the Warriors. It still might. The Warriors were in a hole against the Kings and came back and won that series, obviously. So maybe we shouldn't overreact. But damn it, if we're not overreacting to every game between LeBron James and the Golden State Warriors, then what are we doing talking about the NBA? So maybe we'll overreact to that a little bit. Also, the Hunter Dickinson transfer saga has officially jumped the shark. I need TJ to explain to me what the hell's going on, because this is like partly a Barstool thing. And by partly, I mean, it feels like it's a fully a Barstool thing. Like the whatever Barstool drama part of it, I don't know how interested I am in that, but also this is the best player maybe ever to hit the transfer portal, and I'm very interested in that. And he played for a rival of my school and was very hated in the Big Ten. So, like, of course, I'm interested in where Hunter Dickinson's going to go to the school, but also what the hell is going on. So we'll have to talk about that because I'm very confused, TJ. I also want to do a Kentucky Derby preview. I'm going to put preview in air quotes because I was excited to talk about the Derby, but then I came across a story that was published today that has me reeling, and all I'm going to say is get your tinfoil hats ready because there's a doozy of a story out of Churchill Downs that blew my mind, and I want to talk to TJ about this. So we will touch on that at the end. Fun show coming up. Let's get into it. All right, before we get started talking about the NBA stuff, when you last heard our voices on this program, TJ Hitchings said that the New York Rangers would be handing the New Jersey Devils their asses by a final score of 4-1 in Game 7 of the NHL series. He called out Frank for not going to the live stream, for going to Game 7. He said it was a done deal. I don't know if you actually said that, but that, personally guaranteed on my program with my name on it, TJ. So, like, I kind of have to wear this too, you know? You said that the Rangers would win 4-1, and then the Devils won 4-0. Care to comment?
I was expecting a thank you from Frank when I walked in on Tuesday. I was honestly stunned when I realized that he either didn't listen to the show or didn't respect me enough to thank me for counter jinxing. I've been at Barstool around 4 years now. I've been a fan for a lot longer. I thought I knew the book by now, but I was. Maybe things are changing. Although the Mets did, I think, lose in both games of a doubleheader today, and also NJ Transit went down, and also the Devils lost. So Frank had a good day. Good for Frank.
He had one good day.
Yes.
Isn't it more Mets that he's? I'm not the Barstool lore expert, obviously, but I was under the impression that it was more just the Mets that caused him strife.
Yeah, it's Mets, and then a giant gap, and then Dolphins, and then another giant gap, and then Devils, and then another giant gap, and now he's a Knicks fan because he sold his Nets stock. But the
and then
reason
a massive
why,
gap and Seton Hall somewhere in there,
yeah,
I think.
that's all. That's all in aggravation, not in fandom. Like, he loves all those teams, but the Devils piss him off considerably less because they've actually won titles in front of. Like, he's been cognizant for them winning titles, so he doesn't get as peeved about them.
If he won, I mean, I don't. When did the Devils win the titles? He wasn't at Barstool, obviously.
No, but it was in like the mid 2000s, I think.
It was the mid 2000s. I wonder, was he happy? Because that seems to be the knock on Frank. Is like, even when things are going well, he's got to find something to be upset about.
I think if the Mets were ever to get to a World Series, even if they won, let's say they won in 6 games, he'd be like, should have swept. And also,
we had the talent to sweep.
We got all these free agents. None of them will be here next year. So
yeah, right. We're never going to have a dynasty.
Right.
We're only going to win one. It's over now.
Worst World Series winning team ever.
He seemed pretty happy in the video I saw of the Devils beating the Rangers. So that was nice to see. But
good for Frank.
Yeah, you flew too close to the sun, dude. You were too cocksure about the Rangers getting it done. So.
I don't know shit.
I hate that hockey happens at the same time as basketball. I really do, because I absolutely love watching hockey every time it's on my television. Every time, especially the playoffs. Every time I get an inkling to like follow a certain team. If there's like a story that crosses my radar, and I'm like, oh, I should watch that team in the playoffs now. Every single time, it has 100% hit rate. I love hockey every single time, but unfortunately, I'm a basketball guy, TJ, and no one tunes into the show to hear my hockey takes, and maybe they should. Do they tune in for my basketball takes, though? That's the question I have to ask myself. Why do they tune in?
They only tune in after a Twitter tweet of a bad take goes viral.
Yeah, that's what it is.
We got one this week.
Yeah, we sure did. All right, let's talk about some of these NBA series going on. Celtics absolutely whooped the Sixers tonight. Like I said at the top there, it was vintage James Harden in the first game. That was fun to see. I've always kind of I feel like I keep saying this on the show, though, so I got to check myself because I don't want to be the guy that like retroactively pretends like he likes everybody. There are definitely NBA players I don't like, but I know I've done this with Trae Young already. I think I forget who else we did it with, but where I was like, I've always liked him. I don't know why people hated this guy. I've always liked him. But yeah, Harden was never a guy that I would say I was a fan of, but I did always find like the criticisms of him a little bit strange, just in the sense that he like ushered in a new, I don't want to say a new era of basketball, because guys going one-on-one and being ball dominant is something that's been going on in the NBA forever, but it felt like he took like a style that like people were trying to use in basketball, and he just like turned the sliders all the way up to 100, especially when he was with the Rockets, obviously. And I guess like as I look back on that era, it's like why was that not appreciated and that was hated, when really like he was just doing kind of the same thing, that not the exact same thing, but he's doing something similar to like what Steph and the Warriors were doing, which is like basically breaking the system and breaking the algorithm that is basketball, and saying like we've solved this game and we're going to do it this way. I get that it wasn't always the most aesthetically pleasing way to play, but every so often I think I actually disagree with that. I think like when Harden's cooking, it's very, very fun.
Yeah. And
I guess maybe that's the problem, is he's not always cooking, and when he's throwing up bricks and when he's like trying to foul bait, people just pull their hair out, lose their minds. But I wouldn't say I like loved it, but I never really understood why he made people so angry. Like when they would watch James Harden play, they're like, "Get this fucking guy out of my face."
Yeah, I think he's like a really aggravating player to play against, or to like watch your team play against, probably, because he does play like a super at times like mixtape friendly basketball, if that makes sense. Like whether he's Euro stepping people or like doing like a fadeaway and like staring at a guy laying on the ground and then shooting a three over him. I think he's cool. That like the beard, he's like a brand. I don't get the hate either.
The dribbling between his legs like 400 times in a row, he's just like frozen. His like legs are frozen, and he just dribbles between his legs at the top of the key for 30 seconds. I guess you can't do it for 30 seconds. The shot clock's 24 seconds. For 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And then at the last second, he takes like 3 steps and a step back and shoots a 3, and then it goes in, and everyone, I don't know, like part of me is like, I mean, that's very hard to do, so like that's cool to see a guy make a tough play, but anyway.
He's also in his later years, James Harden has been a great representative for bigger guys that want to get into basketball.
That's true. That's true. What are we to make of that? Like with the Harden, I'm not talking about like necessarily current James Harden, but just like as we look back on James Harden, the ups and downs of his weight. Because like this, like basically James Harden balling out in Game 1. Like he led the league in assists, and he's still a very, very good basketball player. But like Game 1 gave us the taste of like, the vintage James Harden digs deep into his bag of like, this is what I have to offer still, and I can't do it every night, but I'm gonna do it on this night, and I'm gonna get the W. So it makes me like want to rethink his whole career almost. But I can't wrap my head around. Do you remember like before they went to the bubble when he comes down from like he's goddamn Moses coming down from Mount Sinai, and he weighs like 150 pounds? How skinny he was.
Yeah.
And then he shows up every start of every season like 250 pounds. It's truly a marvel how this man did this throughout his entire career.
Game 2, Harden was very tired because he had to do a lot in Game 1, and then Fat Harden came back, and he was like, that was too much activity. I am still exhausted.
We need to do power rankings of our favorite fat basketball players.
Yeah.
I was a Husky man when I played basketball, so like I understand the struggle of like trying to get up and down the floor when you're carrying extra weight, and that's why Zion, Luka, Harden. There are a ton.
Sim Bular ever touched the NBA court?
Yes. Anyway, we're getting off topic. We got to lock back in here. So Harden has an awesome Game 1. Embiid wins MVP. That was last night. Tonight, I don't know. I'm distracted. It was last night, right? It was last night he wins MVP. And says he's back, and he says I'm going to play in Game 2. First of all, the video of Joel Embiid winning MVP with all of his teammates, just a great example of dudes rocking. I mean, just that was that. It really, like I say this earnestly, like. I get very jaded, as people that have been listening to the show for a while obviously have picked up on. I get very jaded sometimes with NBA guys that they don't seem to give a shit about anything, and it gets frustrating from a fan perspective. But to see like that room, to see him like break down into tears, and James Harden like giving him a big hug and all that sort of thing, it is cool to see. I need those reminders every so often that like this stuff matters. I appreciate that Joel Embiid was like very open about I badly want to win this MVP, especially juxtaposed with Jokic, who's like, what is it? An MVP? Is that what you're talking? Did you ask me about the MVP? I don't even really know what that is. Like, Jokic, didn't you win 2 of these? He's like, yeah, I don't remember. I have no idea. So to see Embiid like openly campaigning for it, or just like basically saying what all of us would say in that position, which is like, yes, this means a lot to me, was very cool. Very cool to see him win. But we're at a crossroads now, TJ, because the Sixers might not be. They might be better without him. I mean, like that. Like it's obviously a joke, but is it obviously a joke? Is my question, because they seem to like play so much freer without him. Now tonight, I will say, this ultimately came down to just a make shots game. The Sixers could not make shit. They were getting open shots. They were not making any of them. The Celtics ended up making. I wrote it down somewhere. 1,000. They made 1,000 threes. Exactly. They made 1,000 threes tonight. I believe that might be an NBA record. So like once the wheels start falling off, like the final margin, these series obviously are not dictated by aggregate score. So like the Sixers are like, all right, not our night. Let's pack it in, whatever. I was just a little surprised that Embiid played, because I felt like the Sixers already got like what they went to Boston hoping to steal one game. They did that already, so mission was already accomplished. So why like put Embiid through the stress of Game 2 if he's not fully ready yet? Which, watching him tonight, I felt like I don't think that's controversial to say he's not 100%. But also like just the way they play is just so much more free flowing, and it felt like watching Big Ten basketball sometimes when he's out there, where this is the Big Ten problem, TJ, on full display, where you have like a great big man. The Purdue problem. Are the Philadelphia 76ers I don't actually mean that. Calm down, everybody. But when you have a big guy who is the focal point of everything, and you're running everything through him, it's awesome because he's like very good, obviously, but like sometimes teams miss it. Like this happened with Indiana at times. Like last year when Trace Jackson Davis, like that's the most famous example that stands out to me. Is last year against Purdue. I'm talking about 2 years ago, I guess now. When Trace Jackson Davis was like in foul trouble against Purdue. This was Mike Woodson's first year, and Rob Finney hits the shot to beat Purdue at Bloomington. But anyway, Trace Jackson Davis is in foul trouble that entire game and is not playing. And then like all these IU guards, like suddenly in the snap of a finger, are pulling shots out of their ass and hitting everything. And you're watching that game and you're like, how is this? Where has this offense been from these guards? And you think about it more and you're like, well, where the offense has been is that they've been dumping it into Trace Jackson Davis. And I guess that's kind of what I see sometimes when I watch Philly is like, I'm not saying that Joel Embiid should not play, but also, I mean, the basketball in 2023 is perimeter oriented. And if you're playing through a center, he can step out and shoot threes. He's a good passer. He's not exactly Shaq. I understand that. But yeah, that is an interesting question that I don't think is going away anytime soon with Philly. If they continue to win without him and then lose by, what was it, 34? Is that the final with him? Crazy.
Allow me to answer this question with a prompt that gets back into the argument of value versus best player.
Mm-hmm.
Is Joel Embiid the most valuable player in the league if his team might be better without him?
Ooh.
Or should that go to Jokic?
It depends on your definition of most. It depends on your definition of player. When we say most valuable, no, I'm kidding. No, I found that fascinating too. It's like Embiid won it, and then it felt like some voters and some media, whatever. It felt like the conversation. Again, all of this is just straw man shit. I understand that. It's all anecdotal. Like I'm not trying to say I ran experiments and pulled the data or anything. It's just like from where I'm sitting, this was my perception of it all. It felt like Embiid won, and then the NBA community at large was like, so happy for Joel. We're glad we could get this thing across the finish line. He's been runner-up the last 2 years. He deserves to win one in his career. But it's kind of weird that we gave that trophy to him, isn't it? Like, wasn't Jokic, like, obviously better? And isn't this weird that, like, Jokic is now... Like, the thing we killed Jokic for was that he couldn't get it done in the playoffs. And now, he's still got a long way to go in these playoffs. But Denver's up 2-0 on the Suns, who are favored to win the West. And Jokic is playing out of his mind. And Embiid is... And you're just, like, scratching your head, like... Did we fuck that up? Did we just I don't care. For me, like I said that last time we talked about the MVP. Like I don't vote with your heart. Like I think that's a valid reason to give it. Like it is absolutely insane that in a vacuum you're giving the MVP to a guy who like you don't think in this particular year was technically the MVP, but there's like narratives around it of or voter fatigue, as they say, where Jokic has already won 2, so let's get a new guy in the mix. I don't have a problem with that because at the end of the day, the NBA is an entertainment business, and it's more entertaining to give it to a new guy sometimes. Like it just is, and that's ultimately my stance. Like I think I would have probably voted for Jokic just because like I like his style of play better. Like he's funnier to watch. Like him, he's my number one fat guy in the NBA. By the way. Just watching him like. Feel like just be lazy at all times and leaning on guys and like every shot he takes is a bad shot, but he makes all of them, and his passes are insane. Like he just purposely tries to make the most insane passes. I don't know. I freaking love watching Jokic play, but I don't care that Embiid won. I mean, I think like that's a valid reason to give it to him is to say he should have won, or like he's deserving of winning an MVP at some point in his career, and he really wants it, and we've given it to Jokic the last 2 years, and he doesn't seem to want it as badly. I think that's enough of a case, honestly. and like I don't mean to diminish like Joel Embiid's MVP case, which is like he led the league in scoring. He's an incredible player, great defender in a way that Jokic isn't. He's very much got a case, but even if that is just the case, it's just like voter fatigue. And we don't actually think he's the best player in the league, but we're just kind of bored with Jokic. That's fine with me. I'm fine with that. And maybe I shouldn't be, but I am. So anyway, the Celtics, I said this to you after we talked to Roan. Maybe it was before, but I told you, I should have said it on air. I don't think I did, but I think this Celtics-Sixers series goes as long as the Celtics want it to, which is to say I think the Celtics are the better team. They demonstrated it tonight, obviously. But as has been the case with the Celtics the last few years, they're sometimes their own worst enemy. Yeah. And they are a team that should be playing insane defense. They have the pieces individually. I mean, some of it is the Boston media mafia at work, but on an individual level, they have like 5 dudes that could be in the discussion year after year after year after year for defensive player of the year in the league. Their offense is incredible when they're humming, especially on a night like tonight. They are the most balanced team in the league. They are the favorites for a reason. But yet I still get this feeling that like they're going to get in their own way because that's what they do. Because like Jason Tatum, as talented as he is, does he have the dog in him, TJ? I don't think he does. What is your read on Tatum? How do you feel about Tatum? Like if you're just as like a casual NBA fan that doesn't get caught up in the arguments online, and the narratives that are built and all this. Like just when you're watching a Celtics game and Tatum, it's coming down to the wire. Does Tatum strike you as a killer?
No, I feel like he loves Kobe so much and is so open about how much he loves Kobe. But what made Kobe so cerebral was that like he turned on like the Black Mamba mode or whatever, and like he was a killer. He was like he was able to take over a court and be like, I'm the guy. Everybody can guard me. I'm still gonna do what I want to do with the ball. And I feel like Tatum instead goes, I'm gonna go Kobe going Black Mamba mode, and I'm gonna activate what he used to activate. And he's not he's got to be his own guy.
Yeah, exactly. He's trying to, but then you could argue that Kobe was trying to be Jordan, but I guess maybe that's it. It's like it's too derivative at this point.
Right.
Kobe was emulating Jordan. Tatum is now trying to emulate Kobe, and at this point, it's been watered down too much. And basically, you're doing like a really, when you get down to this many levels, you're basically just doing a really shitty imitation of Michael Jordan that does not work for me. I don't know.
The pyramid scheme falls over at some point.
Yeah, that's my fear with the Celtics. Like the Celtics on paper are the best team. Not even on the court they're the best team.
Yeah.
But the Celtics are going to get in their own way at various times. Are they going to do it 4 times in one series? I don't know. That remains to be seen. I still think they're going to win the East. I still, I imagine they'll take one of these games in Philly, 3 or 4, and they're right back to having home court advantage, and then. The Heat with Jimmy Butler's ankle, I imagine if the Heat survive the Knicks, Jimmy Butler might be 100%, but also even if he is, the Celtics are way better than the Heat. So tired of being soft when you should be hard. 40% of men suffer from hormonal imbalances and low testosterone, and no one's willing to talk about it. The average male testosterone level has decreased by 26% over the past 3 decades. The situation is that you have a bunch of guys that are depressed. They don't have energy. They can't focus. They're gaining weight faster. Their libido is gone. Elevated by Astroflav is an all-natural testosterone booster containing 2 powerful ingredients, Fedoja agrestis and Tonkat Ali. This combination in Elevated has shown results of 250-point increase in total testosterone, but can be anywhere between 200 to 400-point increase. Increased testosterone levels means increases in energy, improvements in libido, reduction in stress levels while building muscle and burning fat. Elevated by Astroflav has over 500,000 bottles sold to men with amazing results. Get a free 2-week trial of Elevated available at astroflav.com/barstool. Just pay shipping. Yeah, the Celtics very much, like, especially tonight, it's easy to say that, but like they look the part of a title contender. It's just I've seen this story before with this team where they kind of just get in their own way, and I'm just fascinated to see what happens because I've seen enough in this series. Even in game 1, I felt like the Celtics were better for large stretches. They just didn't guard in the first half. By the time they wanted to start guarding, it was too late. It doesn't work that way. I'm not saying like they deserve to win or anything else. I'm just saying like the totality of these 2 games, it's clear to me that the Celtics are the better team. It's just a matter of whether they're going to prove it over the course of these next 5 games. And I don't know if they will because, like I keep saying, they just like are addicted to like fucking it up somehow.
Yeah,
they just like
they certainly fucked it up in the first game too, like playing against a team without their MVP and not, Yeah, I don't know if they let their foot off the gas in game 1 or if it was just Philly was going balls to the wall.
And Marcus Smart is just such a wild card, and Derek White is good, but he's not as good as he's very good, but he's also like not. He's a guy that you can't tell him he's good because like once you start telling him he's good, then he thinks he's better than what he is. Like you got to like find like the right balance of confidence with him. Marcus Smart's the same way. Like Marcus Smart comes out gunning, and sometimes he'll start hitting, and then he's like, oh, it's Marcus Smart time. And sometimes that works. That's the bitch of it. It's like sometimes he says that to himself, and then he has a monster game. But then other times you're like, Marcus Smart, why are you shooting every time down the floor when you have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and the rest? Like, what are you doing? But yeah, like Malcolm Brogdon off the bench is insane that they have. I freaking love. I've loved Malcolm Brogdon going back to his college days. So to have a piece like that coming off the bench, and Horford and Robert Williams, who's they're just so loaded. They're absolutely loaded. It's just like weird that I sit here thinking like, I don't know if I would call them the favorites yet. Like I still need to see more. I need to see like them actually have that killer. That's really all it's missing with the Celtics. It's just like a killer mentality that like we're here. We're not here to just win. We're here to like humiliate you. Tonight they brought that. We'll see. I don't know. Moving on. I want to talk about the Lakers Warriors because this is going to be the best series. I think. Heat Knicks I had that circled, but if we're being honest, both of those teams I don't think are as good as the Lakers and Warriors. But also now that Jimmy Butler rolled his ankle, it's just kind of a wait and see situation.
I'm scared for the Knicks. I think that they pissed off Jimmy Butler, and he might drop like 65 points the next time he's on the court.
He's the Knicks. Him waving at the Knicks fans as the game ended was just it looked like the start of a horror movie if you're a Knicks fan.
Yep. That's like a Twitter edit. That's like it's black and white with Jimmy Butler waving at the Knicks fans, and then it's in color, really punchy music with him just like relentlessly scoring and waving at the fans again.
I think you're right. But yeah, I'm in just kind of wait and see. I mean, it's 1-1. Obviously, it's been a good 2 games so far. But if Jimmy Butler's ankle is good, I like the Heat. If it's not, I like the Knicks. So I'm just kind of in wait and see mode with that one. But Lakers Warriors, I think, is going to deliver. I think it is going to be an awesome series. And going into the series, as we talked about on Tuesday, I said that I felt like the Warriors have the advantage because I felt like the Warriors have answers. Whether those answers are good, remains to be seen. But like they have, I put it in this way: where if you ask Steve Kerr, or if you present Steve Kerr with like the problems that the Lakers can give you, I felt like he was like, here's how I'm going to try to address those. If you present Darvin Ham with the problems that the Warriors can give you, I felt like he would be searching for some more answers, and the Lakers would have to tinker a little more, all that sort of thing. So I felt going into the series, the Lakers had to find some answers that maybe the Warriors didn't quite have to. Game 1, the Lakers found their answer, and their answer is, we are huge, and we're going to swallow you alive with our defense, and we're going to block all of your shots. And that is, we're going to look like men amongst boys. And that's exactly what happened. The Lakers could not shoot really that well, which is nothing new for this team. It was like I guess like if you're a Warriors fan, the reason you're concerned, you're not overreacting to one game. Obviously, this is a Warriors team that's been here before many times over, and this is not the end of the series at all. What I would be concerned about was that the Lakers won this game playing Lakers, but this is the exact way the Lakers try to win games. Like this was a perfect execution of what the Lakers are trying to be. This is not the Warriors aren't going to go back and watch this film and be like, oh, they hit like 33s. They're not going to do that in game 2. We're fine. I don't think we're going to necessarily see a regression to the mean with the Lakers. And that would give me concern if I was the Warriors. Now, with that being said, obviously, the reason the Lakers won is because Anthony Davis played as well as I have ever seen this man play basketball. And he is a guy that throughout his career, we have question marks about whether he can sustain this. So I guess there is that silver lining if you're a Warriors fan in terms of like trying to figure out, can the Lakers, is there going to be a regression with the Lakers? I would imagine that Anthony Davis is not going to score 30 points and have 23 rebounds and 5 assists and 4 block shots every single game in this series. But man, he was awesome. He was freaking awesome. It was so weird. It was so weird to see LeBron so willingly being the second. Not that LeBron is selfish, but just that like LeBron, obviously his entire career, in late game moments and big games like this, like just imposes his will and tries to take over games. And him being just so content playing off the ball was crazy to see. One, but also like, again, maybe a little scary for the Warriors because you're like, oh shit, like LeBron doesn't even really put his fingerprints on these games right now. Like he wasn't even really doing that much, and they still beat us on our home court. Yeah,
that's like the secret LeBron ability where he can like impose somebody else's will during a game. That's like the in-game load management that we talked about is like,
yeah, exactly.
All right, you do it. Like here.
Well, that's what I feel like LeBron still has. This is just wishful thinking, honestly. Like I don't have any reason to believe this other than just I want it to happen. But I want to say LeBron has one game this series at least where he just goes vintage LeBron and has his 40-point, 13 assists, 14 rebound type game. But he can't. He's too old to do that every single night, and he knows that. So every single time LeBron can take the floor and not have to exert all that energy is a huge W for the Lakers. But I thought the real MVP of this game to me was Jared Vanderbilt, who I said going into the series, I knew he was going to guard Steph because the Lakers don't have, in terms of an individual, on an individual level, the Lakers are a great team, but individually, Schroeder and Vanderbilt are the only two guys that can really guard him. And I didn't love the matchup for Vanderbilt because I felt like Vanderbilt is not as well suited at running around, chasing screens, all that. But I was very, very wrong. This man was incredible defensively. Took the assignment to heart. They kept saying during the broadcast that he went to Darvin Ham and was like, I want to guard Steph, which I think he knew he was going to anyway. So whether he actually meant that or whether it was like him talking himself into it, I don't know. I'm gonna say that he actually meant it.
He's just trying to hypnot himself. I want to guard Steph.
Yeah,
I want to guard Steph.
Yeah, I want to guard. Did I just say those words out loud?
Yeah.
But no, he was great. He was locked in and he knew his role, and that's like the kind of stuff that I think people that talk about basketball point out guys like Jared Vanderbilt, and if you're a casual, we'll say, TJ, you roll your eyes at stuff like that where you're like, Jared Vanderbilt made the difference in this game, and people are like, come on, like what? Steph scored 27 points. What do you mean he made a difference? But if you watch the game, I mean, he made Steph work. I mean, this was Matthew Dellavedova built his entire legacy on this very thing, which is like, let Steph Curry cook you because he's Steph Curry and he's going to. But if you can make this man work as hard as possible to score those points, you've done your job and you've done it well. And Jared Vanderbilt was doing that all night. Schroeder was doing it when he was in too. And I just thought the Lakers were incredible defensively. They have been all year, but like they were. Anthony Davis was an insane rim protector. I don't know. I think that's going to be fascinating as the series goes on to watch, because like the Warriors started to figure out late that Steph having the ball in his hands instead of playing off the ball is going to be the secret sauce, because Vanderbilt's just attached at his hip at all times. So get him the ball and now start setting ball screens for him instead of off ball screens. And I think they started to figure that out late, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that as this series goes on, especially because they got to figure out ways to get Anthony Davis out from under the basket, because the Warriors would drive to the paint and they wanted no part of AD down there. They were just like, they would drive in with zero purpose whatsoever and just look to kick. And driving and kicking doesn't work when you're doing that. If you're not driving to score, you can't drive and kick and find success. You have to drive, make the defense collapse because they think you're going to score. But when you're driving and you're like, shit, Anthony Davis, all right, we're going to just pass it out. I think the Lakers got very comfortable guarding him, and I don't know. The series is far from over. The Warriors are going to make those adjustments, but yeah, that was a little surprising to see out of the gate that the Lakers just absolutely swallowed them alive. So that was my takeaway from game one.
I think they have a perfect AD stopper under the hoop too. It's just send Draymond Green at him as hard as possible, cause a scene, maybe get ejected or something. Anthony Davis will get injured. He'll be out for 8 to 10 minutes. He can't score when he's off the court. He might score 50 when he comes back in, but that's how you get the momentum. That's how the momentum swung against the Kings. Just send Draymond at him with a full head of steam. He doesn't even have to have the ball with him. Just send him into the paint.
Just bring out the goons. Shout out to I think it was John Chaney did that at Temple. The late John Chaney. I think we lost a couple years ago, I want to say now, but John Chaney, when he's at Temple, I remember put in goons against, was it St. Joe's? Was it the St. Joe's game? Temple was playing St. Joe. Well, it might have been the I know you probably don't know this, TJ. I'm just thinking out loud. I don't mean to put you on the spot as though I'm not Jeff D'Lo here asking for your. I think Temple was playing the 04 St. Joe's team that was undefeated with Jameer Nelson and Delonte West. That 04 St. Joe's team that started really hot. And I think they were playing them. And if I remember right, John Chaney like basically brought like 2 dudes off the bench, at least one. Brought a guy off the bench and called him a goon and just told him just like foul the shit out of everybody and just be an instigator, and was very open about this. And I remember it just like being a controversy that John Chaney was openly doing what a lot of coaches do, but he was like, yeah, of course, like they're a better team than us, so I'm just gonna pull my guy off the bench. And I pitched that to Thad Matta a couple times at Ohio State, like, let me be your goon, and he always just laughed at me. And I was like, I'm very serious. I will gladly go in there and just wreck shit. Just let me goon it up. But he called him a goon. I have to look this up. I have to look up this story after we do this shit. But I have that word stuck in my head.
Yeah.
That he was like, yeah, we threw in our goon.
Well, it's a hockey phrase. Yeah, get the guy in there,
goon.
cause a fight, and then leave. How does that affect the trillion stat line though? If there's one foul, one ejection, yeah.
That is a hockey thing, huh? Goon, right?
Goon,
yeah,
and then
so
that phrase turned into like enforcer, I think is what they say.
That's Is that a movie?
Yes, Goon or Goons.
Oh man, you kind of. I mean, I'm glad we acknowledged that hockey invented this, but now this just killed my headcanon that John Chaney.
You could star in the basketball spinoff.
Yeah. You're right. That get Draymond to do that. He got a martyr tech, by the way. You saw this, that he got teed up. I thought it was a bad tech though. This was, to my point, I don't love the martyr tech because I felt like it was very self-serving. He was playing defense, and I forget who was coming off a screen, and he kind of stuck his arm out and stopped the guy. Ed Malloy calls him for a foul. And then he starts bitching to Ed Malloy about it and gets teed up. And you watch the replay; it was very obviously foul one. It was not something that it felt like the Warriors players were like mad about. It felt like Draymond was the only guy that was mad about this. But then I think they went on a run right after that. So maybe I'm full of shit. But I remember when the tech happened, I was like, "That's the martyr tech we were talking about. This is self-serving. This is not helping the team. This is Draymond just complaining just to complain." Yeah, I don't know. I forgot to talk about the big story from this game, by the way, the Jordan Poole shot. I want to go on record as saying that I'm okay with it. I was okay with the Jordan Poole shot. In fact, like I thought it was deep when he shot it, but like no part of me was like, what is he doing? Like a lot of people thought. He hit 6 threes in this game. He's a good shooter. We've seen this story before from him, especially college basketball. This is how Jordan Poole's legacy was started against Houston. You remember that. We talked about this.
Yep.
Yeah. He hit the shot against Houston, and now he's been YOLOing his basketball career ever since then. That's who the man is. I felt very fine with him taking that shot, and I think he hits that 40% of the time. Honestly, he was wide open. It was a deep shot, but he was wide open. And you're down 3. Like it all checked out. Like he takes a dribble to if he dribbles into the shot, Vanderbilt challenges it. It's not as clean of a look. If he doesn't take the shot, there's no guarantee that the Warriors get a better look. Maybe the Lakers foul because they're up 3, and you don't even get a shot to tie it at all. I have no problem whatsoever with the shot. But I also understand that Jordan Poole taking a shot that deep when you have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson on your team, I get why people want to like make jokes. But I just feel like he's a victim of his own reputation. That he just got this. Yeah. No, I was just like, he's just got this like. Jordan Poole is, like I said, he's like got this YOLO feel to his game that when he shot this, everyone's like, oh, LOL, this is Jordan Poole again. But I think if Drew Holiday did this, if this was the Bucks and Drew Holiday took that shot, I don't think people are really flinching at all about it, But
my
then
question
again, Drew
is,
Holiday's not teammates with he's not teammates with Steph and Klay, so maybe that's
right. I guess that's the big point. Is like you have historically godlike 3-point shooters on your team, but did we consider who, if anyone famous or attractive, was sitting courtside?
yeah. Who's the hottest woman sitting courtside?
I feel like that's something that plays into the Jordan Poole story.
It's probably Rob Lowe, dude. Honestly, the hottest person in that arena is probably Rob Lowe.
Just wearing an NBA logo hat. Yeah. And big fan of the NBA.
Yeah. No, I didn't have a problem with it though. Keep shooting, Jordan. I don't know why I do this, but Jordan Poole and Duncan Robinson are 2 Michigan guys that I will always defend, and it feels very dirty to do that. But I don't know. I can't help who I like, and I like watching Jordan Poole, even though he plays no defense and he does YOLO his way through every basketball game he's a part of. He's fun. I don't know. I can't help it. I wish I didn't feel this way, TJ. I do. I promise you. But damn it, I love watching Jordan Poole play basketball for some reason. Quick break to talk about our friends at Coors Light. Sometimes the days can get so crazy that you forget to make time for fun. When that happens, you've got to choose to chill. So go ahead, say yes to midweek happy hours and catching the game after work. And while you're at it, enjoy an ice-cold Coors Light, the beer that's made to chill. I want everybody to close their eyes, unless you're driving, I should say. If you're listening or watching in the comfort of your own home, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to picture, especially close your eyes like if you're in a place where the weather's not great right now. I want you to picture it's summertime. I want you to picture that band that you haven't seen in a few years. It's your favorite band, and they're finally coming to your city, and you got those concert tickets, and you're going to the concert, and you're out on the lawn, and it's a summer night, one of those late summer nights where it feels like the sun should have set already, but it's lingering in the sky, and you got your best gal or guy on one arm, and what's in the other hand? An ice cold Coors Light. Now open your eyes. That's heaven, is it not? Look me in the eye and tell me that that's not heaven. That's what I'm going to be doing all summer. I am so fired up for concert season. I don't know why, but I just got really fired up for it. And I'm going to be drinking Coors Lights at every single concert I go to, because when you're making time to chill, there's only one thing to do. Crack open a Coors Light. When you choose to chill, pair your plans with an ice cold Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Drizzly or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/Titus. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Speaking of Michigan guys, what's the Hunter Dickinson update? I hope you can help me with this, because here's what I understand so far. Hunter Dickinson has entered the transfer portal. Hunter Dickinson has visited all 363 Division I schools, including Michigan. He went on an official visit at Michigan, even though he's already at Michigan. He has milked every single university for every dime they have. He has said that he will make his decision. It's imminent. It's going to happen. In fact, he may have even said it's a date that it's going to happen. And then this man has still not made his decision. And now I've got people texting me and reaching out to me, because this is sort of a Barstool thing, that like Barstool is trolling. We as a company are trolling the basketball world at large. And now I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place, TJ, because Hunter Dickinson is my nemesis, as you know. I do not like the man. I don't like what he stands for. But also he's transferring from Michigan. So now it's like, all right, is this a new opportunity? Did I hate him because of the jersey, or did I hate him because of his stupid face?
Yep.
I don't know. This is something I've been trying to work through. Meanwhile, his enemy seems to be college basketball like reporter types, who I also don't necessarily love. So I don't know where I fall on all of this. Like who's being the jackass? I don't know enough to know. So can you please set the record straight for our listeners? Like, what the hell's going on with the Hunter Dickinson saga?
Yeah, so I tried to do some boots on the ground research. I talked to one of Barstool's many college basketball experts, Marty Mush, about the situation at hand. And he said that he would have to pry that information from his cold, dead, podcastless hands if that were the case. But
okay,
he will be. From what it sounds like is that they're going to use Roundball Podcast and announce it there, and that's their right to do so.
Didn't they put out a video that was like Hunter made an announcement?
The announcement is that he will soon be announcing where he's going to transfer. So I'll announce that we'll leak the announcement. I'll figure out how to get that information if we hit 1 million subscribers on this account, on this channel. Because I want to one up their baiting with our own baiting.
Yes, if the Mark Titus YouTube page gets 1 million subscribers, the Mark Titus Show YouTube page gets 1 million subscribers, TJ will take a lead pipe to Marty Mush's knees and pry the information out of him.
Marty's on board with this too. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I want to like Hunter now that he's not in Michigan, but I know I know I'm not going to. I don't think there's any way that this is going to work out. Like how I don't know, man.
I mean, he's playing the villain role, I guess, or whatever. But I mean,
I get it. Like so. Okay, I'll say this. Like, I don't have a problem with him taking his time. Like, no part of me is like, come on, man, give us your decision already. If you want to wait if you want to take TJ's idea, wait till the first game of the year, and then just come out of the tunnel and surprise everybody and say I'm at Kansas or wherever it ends up being. That's fine by me. I don't care. Take your time. It's your decision. I'm confused by the trolling. I'm confused whether the troll like the it feels a little bit like because like you troll people like you say like we have an announcement and people click like no like you know what you're doing, you're trolling people into like watch it, and then people are obviously upset because they feel deceived, and then what like you're just like haha got you, which I don't think like. I don't know. It feels a little bit like I had a cousin who was a moron and was an attention whore, and sometimes at like Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, like this is just an example, TJ. You'd have like the cousin who like they're 6 years old and all the adults are sitting around in the living room, and the cousin just walks into the living room and is like, "Hey everybody, watch this," and then just like pours a bowl of pudding on their head, and then all the adults just look at him and are like, You're what are you doing? And then he walks out of the room and he's like, I got them. I pranked them. That's kind of how that's like kind of my read on this. It's like, I think you're overestimating how much you're overvaluing like how much people are desperate to know where Hunter Dickinson is going to play basketball. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you're trolling people. I think you're just kind of being a dick and people are calling it out. I don't know, but I don't know enough. That's why like I'm trying to figure out like what the story is here because
I think you're going to get me in trouble going into the office tomorrow. No, what I'll say is they are doing a good job of drawing attention towards their podcast. I don't know how much that attention is going to stick long term. I don't think they're exactly building an audience because of this. But the short-term attention is pretty good for them on social or whatever. I think you need to come up with some announcement that you can tease.
I would advise them, and again, I don't have any way of getting word to Hunter, unfortunately. But if I could get word to Hunter, I would advise him to maybe not, like, if you want to build an audience with a show, don't piss off if there's a group of people that are willing to click on a link and listen to your show, maybe reward those people with something versus trolling those people. just a humble suggestion from a guy who's been in the biz for a little while. Maybe don't like piss off every single person who's willing to listen to your show. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's funny. Maybe I should go listen. Maybe this is the lesson I'm getting from all of this. I've just been trying to like keep up with because I've seen so many people talking about Hunter Dickinson making his announcement, and then I swear to God I saw like a tweet like 3 or 4 days ago that someone was like Hunter Dickinson announcement coming tomorrow. And then here we are.
He announced that.
I'm like,
he made his announcement. He said he announced that he'll be soon declaring for college, and that there'll be no more announcements about the announcement.
All right. Well, there you go.
Maybe that's how we should. I think we should give him the opportunity, the open floor to come on this podcast and announce it here if he wants to.
That's not a bad idea. I'll do that. I will invite Hunter Dickinson on this show to announce where he's going. If he wants it, he doesn't have to. I would like to build a bridge between me and Hunter because if he's turning his back on Michigan, the enemy of my enemy is my friend ultimately.
Yes.
So I would like to try to build a bridge with Hunter. I don't mean to. I know it sounds like based on the last 5 or 7 minutes of what I've been saying, I am taking shots at the man, but I was just more confused more than anything else and. I don't know why I picked that analogy of my cousin dumping pudding on his head, but
I'm sure your cousin's a great guy.
Yeah, that cousin, by the way, is in prison.
Shit!
Is in prison. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
As long as he leaves the Big Ten, I'm not opposed to.
Yeah,
just get out of the Big Ten. Don't go to Maryland.
Is he down to 4 schools? Is that what he said? Kentucky, Kansas.
It might be 40 schools at this point. I don't know.
Do we have a Tipton edit with the schools?
I don't think so.
I need to visual. I need to see them all in a graphic, or else I don't know what I'm dealing with here.
30 minutes ago, he cleared his Instagram.
Well, he went 0 dark 2330 LeBron, where he just nuked his Instagram. Again, like I said before, like I'm not triggered by this, as a consumer of the Hunter Dickinson content, TJ. I'm just like confused as to I'm left more confused than triggered, I should say, And I appreciate the effort in trying to troll people. Like I'm a professional jackass myself. This is how I have my careers. When I was a college basketball player, I was a jackass publicly, you know? I'm just confused by what the plan is. Because I don't know.
I love this development of you at Barstool, like learning like the game, basically, like learning the different tactics of people, like milking every single interaction out of a small like dose of the spotlight. Like
that's pretty much
understanding the game. This is textbook the gaming. Maybe too far, but
my first 2.5 months have been that of just like learning everyone else's strategy of how to drive engagement. Yeah, I will say when you came back, when we did the show after I said get rid of the draft and you said that TikTok was blowing up, I have no interest in getting on TikTok, but I did get the itch to like go back to the well somehow. Part of me was like, I don't know if TJ, I've never seen TJ smile that much than me going semi-viral on TikTok. With a harebrained NBA idea, maybe I should do another one. And that's
you just gotta you gotta talk in 59-second spurts of strong opinions or stupid
that's what
opinions.
It is.
Keep it under a minute. Say the most rational or irrational thing that you think you could say in a minute.
Do people stop down? Like if you have a take and you feel like you didn't get it off cleanly, do you stop down and redo it? Do you think?
I think there's a certain podcast with some not so nice women at Barstool that might do something like that. I don't know for sure or not. I don't care to listen to the podcast, but that's
like they have their they do the thing and then they stop down and they're like you know what you should have said is like men don't get diarrhea or women don't get diarrhea. You should say that.
They're like I know you said
I like that and.
Men, I know you said men shouldn't be allowed to eat vegetables, but what if you say men should go to jail if they eat vegetables?
Yeah, you have Nick's in the room like punching up the script.
Yeah, that is true. Nick Turani does direct Mean Girl Pod.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not knocking Hunter's. I disagree with what this man is doing, but I will defend to the death his right to do it. You know, is that the right analogy there? I just want to understand a little more of his game here. But open invitation, Hunter, more than welcome to come on my show if you would like to use this platform to announce where you're going. I have a feeling though, TJ, he would just come on the show and then troll me to my face. Yeah. He would come make an announcement that he's not making the announcement. So by me calling that out, Hunter, you can't do that. You officially can't do that because now you're definitely a loser. You just did what I said you were going to do. Nice. So,
checkmate.
Gotcha. Checkmate. What if he goes back to Michigan? That's the way he wins me back over. Weirdly enough, like the reason I want to like him is because he's leaving Michigan. But if he in fact goes back to Michigan, I would have no choice but to respect that and become a fan of his. And honestly, I think that's what I want. I want him back. I just want to hate him. I just want like free reign to hate the man. And if he's at Michigan, it's very easy to do that. So,
has anybody ever entered the transfer portal and then gone back to the school that they entered from?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's happened. Kofi Coburn did that.
Oh yes.
Kofi Coburn, if I remember right, entered the portal, entered the draft, entered everything there is to enter. I think he went to the NFL Combine. I think maybe he. I want to say he threw his hat in the ring for the presidential race. Maybe it was a senator race. I don't remember. And then when the dust settled, he was like, "I'm back at Illinois. Like nothing ever happened."
He applied for an internship at Barstool too, but I don't think he got it.
Yeah. He was going to be junior editor for the Mark Titus show. All right, well, there you go. Hunter Dickinson update. Hunter, come on the show. We got to talk about Kentucky Derby real quick before we wrap this thing up because Kentucky Derby is on Saturday. First of all, have you ever been to a horse race? I
No,
assume you have.
my
Really?
grandpa's is a very well, I've been to Monmouth Racetrack when I was younger, which is in Jersey near me, but I've never been to any of the big ones. My grandpa is like a very traditional sports fan. Where growing up, the only sports he ever had on TV were baseball, boxing, and horse racing. So I am
of that traditional,
yeah,
like
yes, like he's a boxing trainer in Queens, very stereotypical Irish boxing trainer looking guy, but just watches
does he wear
horse
a fedora?
races. It's
I
like
picture him wearing a
it's like
fedora.
I can send you a picture. It's like a soft, like brimmed hat. But yeah, he had horse racing on constantly, 24 hours a day somehow.
I've been to one Kentucky Derby and it rained the whole damn day.
Oh,
and
shit.
I was in the infield and it was such a sloppy mess. And I don't know, maybe I was too big of a wuss, but I wasn't in the right frame of mind. Like there was a time in my life where I think like I would have been all about it. I might have been slightly too old or something.
Yeah.
Because I appreciated it, but I wasn't. But I also was like looking down at my shoes too much and being like, my shoes are getting dirty, you know, which is.
Did you dress up?
No, I didn't dress up. I knew I was going to the infield, so I was there for the party. But I was picturing. So I'm from Indiana, and I go to the Indy 500 every single year. And I've done this my whole life, so I am used to like my idea of like the infield at Churchill Downs was that it was going to be similar to the infield at IMS, which is to say that you're basically just like chilling out on a patch of grass and drinking beer in the sun and having a good time. So like even when I went to the Derby, I packed a cooler full of beer. I walked to the front gate and the security's like, you have to dump all this out. What are you doing, you moron? And I was like, what? He's like, you can't bring alcohol into the venue. And I was like, well, damn, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you can. So the other part is that with car racing, obviously if it's raining, well, maybe it's not obvious because F1 will race in the rain, but they won't run the Indianapolis 500 in the rain. So like I've never experienced a rainy infield at Indy because it starts raining, you just go home. So I was going there like thinking like, okay, if it rains, maybe they'll just send us home and we'll come back tomorrow or whatever. And it started raining and they're like, no, you just got to stay here. And I was like, shit, I'm not prepared for this at all. Anyway, that was I went one time. I want to go back, but it was cool. It was I enjoyed the freaking race and the horses and all. Like it was a cool scene. I had a great time. But anyway, that brings me to why I wanted to bring it up here, TJ, because the Derby is Saturday. I appreciate the Derby. I want to be a Derby guy eventually. When we move to Chicago, I'm going to be driving down to the Derby every year. So I was going into this show wanting to do a little bit of a Kentucky Derby preview. I Googled Kentucky Derby, as you do when you want to do research. Just the two words, Kentucky Derby, hit enter. I go to the news tab, and I find this story that 4 horses have died at Churchill Downs since Thursday. There have been 4 horses that have died. Now, 2 of these horses were injured, and they euthanized them because I still don't fully understand that, and that's one of those things that like I don't know if I want to I'm sure it's a very simple answer, but I just want to live in this ignorance of like, so the horse like twists its ankle and you just shoot it in the head. That's how. Right. And all the horse people are like, yeah, of course. Like, what else would we do? And I'm like, I don't know. There's got to be a better way. But yeah, 2 horses had the De'Aaron Fox. They broke the tip of their index finger, and unfortunately they had to kill them. But these 2 other horses, this is where it gets interesting. So I found this story on, I think it was Yahoo. Let me click on it. Let me pull this back up. Yeah, 4 horses die at Churchill Downs. The story was Yahoo. Jason Owens, staff writer at Yahoo Sports. He says the Louisville Courier-Journal reported Wednesday that 3 horses died in 2 days of spring racing since the season started. Parents Pride collapsed and died after racing on Saturday, and Chasing Artie died under similar circumstances after racing on Tuesday. Joseph, who's Joseph? He's the trainer. What's his first name? Safi Joseph Jr. Joseph, the trainer, told the Courier-Journal that blood work and labs came back normal for both horses and that their team is testing the horses' feed and supplements for irregularities. Quote, we're going to have to figure it out. What's the reason, Joseph said. I don't think it's bad fortune. It's not about that to happen twice. I don't have an answer right now. I wish I did. Something's not right. These horses, it wasn't because of injury. They left the gate and they didn't even try, and then they dropped down. Theories aren't going to help. We need facts.
Whoa.
What? Someone's poisoning horses? How is this not the... Forget the playoffs, dude. Like, this is... Am I understanding this correctly? There's these 2 horses that are just dropping dead?
And the 2 others I'm reading were from injuries, but these were, like, decisively from not injuries.
Non-injuries. Were they vaccinated, I guess, is the question you have to ask yourself.
Horse racing is, like, a historically, like, corrupt or at least, like, shrouded in darkness type sport. So you don't want to say there was foul play, but that's crazy.
Yeah, the guy said theories aren't going to help. We need facts. I have some theories. Someone's killing your horses.
I got some dark theories right off the bat.
I know you said it's not going to help, but I think there's some tomfoolery afoot. I think and/or some general shenanigans that you might want to look into here.
Both horses were owned by the same person, trained by the same trainer, and ridden by the same jockey.
There's the other paragraph I wrote down, or I copied and threw in my notes here, says Joseph is a renowned trainer whose horses produced 174 wins and more than $10 million in prize money in 2022. He trains Lord Miles, who's slated to start from the 19th gate, in Saturday's Kentucky Derby. Joseph told USA Today that plans to race other horses this weekend are in jeopardy as the causes of death for Parents' Pride and Chasing Artery remain unclear. So adjust your bets accordingly.
Yeah, that horse Lord is getting scratched at the least.
Lord Miles is starting from the 19th spot, and the guy who has been training him has had 2 horses die. And I don't. This to me feels like this would have been the biggest story. How many years ago? 100?
Yeah. I'm sure my grandpa is
your
locked
grandpa
into this story.
Your grandpa starts a podcast because of this story. And
he would not last long on a podcast before that got canceled.
He would wrap some. Never mind.
Yeah.
How does your grandpa feel about Bone Thugs? When you don't know something, that's when it worries you most, Joseph told USA. Something is wrong. A lot of thoughts run through your head, but you can drive yourself insane. But I'm very uneasy right now. It's not something I would wish on anybody. And that to me, I don't know. I don't need to know anything else. I don't need to know what the hell Bob Baffert's up to or any of these other. Don't tell me that there's like a Triple Crown threat looming out there. The second I saw this story, I was like, this is the story of the Derby. That horses are just dropping dead, and no one really knows why. And also, the same trainer has a horse that's going to enter the Derby. This feels like a Scooby-Doo episode or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to. I mean, Rico's a big Derby guy. Pass this across the desk tomorrow. See if he's got any takes.
That's great. So that's what we learned this show is we're going to be leaning on Rico and Marty Mush to help us out for content. This should go well.
As God intended.
That's exactly what I had in mind when I signed my contract at Barstool. If you're a fan of this show and a fan of Barstool Sports, what better way to support the brand than wearing our merch? Look no further than the Barstool Sports Store, where you can find the sweatshirt that I am currently wearing, the B*RSTOOLSP*RTS sweatshirt that is a favorite of mine. Felt appropriate today, TJ. Felt like I just got to remind people that where I work, I'm repping the brand. I just felt like I saw Barstool was trending on Twitter. That was pretty awesome. So I was pretty fired up to be a Barstool guy on a day like today. So why settle for basic when you can stand out with Barstool Sports? Go visit the Barstool Sports store now. Head to store.barstoolsports.com now. No matter what show you like, no matter what personalities you like, there's surely merch available at the Barstool Sports store. Store.barstoolsports.com. Go do it now. Go rep the greatest brand out there, Barstool Sports. Anything else before we go?
Kevin Durant is in Call of Duty now.
He's in
Call of Duty.
Like he's in the game. He's in the actual game.
Kevin Durant has a skin in Call of Duty Warzone.
So you can play with a 7-foot tall beanpole.
I guess he's
can't
probably
bench
not
press 185
proportionally.
pounds?
He's probably not proportionally accurate, just because that would make him like a unfair disadvantage to shoot
Yeah.
at. But yeah, there's
That
a
would
couple.
be awesome. That would be awesome if he was, and that he's just 7 feet tall, popping over. He could never bend down under to hide from.
Well, that's the
stuff.
opposite of like the GoldenEye 64 character that was like a little person, Odd Job. That like
Odd Job,
the
yeah.
controls were really weird on that game, and nobody could like figure out how to aim down. It's the opposite of that. He's just like gargantuan. It takes up the whole screen.
I wonder, is that still the case? Has anyone gone back and tried to play 64? Because my memory would be that the reason we couldn't point down and shoot Odd Job is because no one had ever played a first-person shooter at that point when that game came out. So all of us were just staring at the controllers like, how does this work? But now that like we as a video gaming, I'm throwing myself in there with you, TJ. I play Super Mario Kart every so often. We as a video gaming community are so used to first-person shooters. I wonder if we went back and played GoldenEye, would the Odd Job situation be like it was back then? I don't know. Guess we'll never know. That's pretty cool that Durant's going to be in Call of Duty.
There's a couple soccer players. I think Neymar, Pogba, and Messi have skins. It is a little unsettling that it's just like you're shooting Kevin Durant's dead body. I don't know how I would feel about that exactly, but it's pretty cool.
I see this now. Yeah, that seems. Yeah, I guess you're right. That does feel a little aggressive that you could like now shoot Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a story that feels cool on the surface, but then I think about it for 2 seconds now, and I'm like, wait a second. It's just a good idea that people can. Well, Kevin Durant will have plenty of time to play as himself now that the Suns are going to get bounced from the playoffs. Suns outplayed the Nuggets in Game 2, I thought, but still lost. Booker was locked in. Jamal Murray stunk, and the Nuggets still won. But what do they say? The series doesn't start till the home team loses. So, but then again, if the home team never loses, I never really understood that because. So basically, if you're saying that, then the Nuggets are just going to win because they have home court advantage. The Suns have zero depth, and Chris Paul pulled his groin. And thankfully, groin injuries on 37-year-olds are quick recoveries and definitely do not linger. So maybe they'll be fine. But I don't know. We'll see. What else? Did you see the Dune trailer? Are you a Dune guy? I wrote that down to talk to you about.
I watched it just
2?
to. My dad's a very big Dune guy. Like read the books and has watched the first movie a few times. And I texted to him, and he said the hair on his arms stood up when he watched the trailer. So he's super jacked up about it.
Did he like the first movie?
Yeah. Okay,
good. I did not read the books. Knew nothing about it. I'm just a sucker for like you tell me it's like a blockbuster movie coming out that if you say the words everybody's watching it, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, shit, I guess I got to go watch it. So I went and watched it, and it felt very, very slow, but also like I knew what it was. I respected it because it felt like they were like, I don't know this to be the case, but it felt like they were very true to the book because they were like, we're gonna really, instead of trying to jam everything in one movie, we're gonna make 13 Dune movies and tell the whole story.
Yeah. And
I respect that. Ask me one single thing about that movie after I watched it. Couldn't tell you a damn thing. Don't remember. I don't remember where we left off. I don't remember what the point was. Just remember there's a lot of sand and it's valuable.
I'm very bad at doing long form media, if that makes sense. I haven't been to the movies to see a movie since I worked at a movie theater in college, which was 4 years ago, and I could not tell you the last time I read a book.
You have TikTok brain?
My attention span is kind of limited. I stick to sports for as far as long form things go, and I don't think I can actually read. I don't think I've read a book.
I don't think I could actually read.
I don't think I've read a full book since like 8th grade.
Oh, I love it.
I don't love it.
So you don't,
it's embarrassing.
You strike me as a guy that would have been a Star Wars guy. I hope you don't take that the wrong way.
Sure.
But, But you're not. You're saying
It's too much.
Is there any franchise? Are you like a Lord of the Rings guy? Were you you're never any of the
I like
Marvel?
The Office is cool. I mean, I saw like all of the Marvel movies, but that was more of just like a social thing. It's like, I guess I got to figure it out. Even like Game of Thrones, like I didn't watch any of the first, how many seasons of Game of Thrones are there?
I think there was 8.
I watched the last season.
Oh, dude, that's the one season you don't watch. You shouldn't have watched.
It was the only season I watched, and it was because I was living with people in college, and it was on TV in my living room. I was like, I guess I'm here already, so.
All right, well,
I'll figure out the characters as I go, I guess.
all right, well, we should do on the show. We should do a Dune review when it comes out. It's like November, I think. We have time, but that would be funny to. You like leave halfway through.
Yeah, I'll see it in like 5 installments.
And my review is like, I fucking loved it. I don't remember anything that happened, but it was awesome. I don't know what happened, but that was sick. I had one more shout out. I wanted to acknowledge Chris Dimbits, I think is his name, aka Phony Bennett on Twitter. He is a guy that ran a Twitter account for I think it was at If Tony Tweeted was his handle. Because Tony Bennett doesn't have Twitter, and he's a Virginia basketball fan, and he just started this account where it was basically a parody Tony Bennett account. I saw the news today that he had passed away from cancer, and I did not realize he was even sick or that he was even going through that. But I saw the news and wanted to acknowledge it and just I don't know, like just basically acknowledge that I loved his content. I loved no fan base in all the years that I've been doing this, which they're adding up at this point. I've been covering basketball for a living. No fan base has ever made me feel like I was part of their own, like Virginia did, especially in 2019 when they won the national championship, because I was just very vocal about my affinity for Virginia basketball and Tony Bennett at a time when everyone was saying they're frauds and Bennett ball will never work and they lost to a 16 seed and all that sort of thing. So I said I would go down with the ship, and I was like, I think they're going to find success at some point, whatever. And that fan base showed me love in a way that no other fan base has ever shown me love, other than the ones that, like Ohio State or like in Indiana where, I have like more of a tie to. And a big reason why I got so much love from Virginia fans was because of Chris running his account. He was such like a fan of mine in the sense that like, anytime I would write articles about Virginia and a glowing light, anytime I would talk about them on my shows, he would always promote my shit. And I very much appreciated that because it did like, it really, really did help. And I think I like built like an audience with Virginia fans in large part because of him. I never met the man personally. In fact, I didn't even know who he was until I saw that he passed away today. I didn't know his identity. I knew him as Phony Bennett on Twitter, and we DM every so often. But yeah, I wanted to shout him out because I don't know, thinking about his family and thinking about the Virginia community and all that sort of thing, because I think he was pretty prominent amongst like Virginia basketball fans. And 49 years old, died, and I was pretty bummed out to hear that news. So yeah, Phony Bennett, pour one out for you. Appreciated all the love, and I'm not good at this kind of thing, TJ, but I don't know if you can tell, but every so often I feel like I got to say something. And that guy was very, very good to me, and I'm very appreciative of that. So I wish I could have met him, but I'm glad to have known him online, if nothing else. So there's that. I don't want to end on that. Do you have any weekend plans? Do you have anything fun?
Yeah, I'll do that before I get to the bad news that I just saw on Twitter. But this is my favorite sports weekend of the year, so I'm excited. I think this is the most underrated sports weekend of the year too. You got everything.
Just the Derby? Is Floyd Mayweather fighting somebody?
It's the best Canelo is. He's fighting some tomato can. It's the best non-football sports weekend you could possibly have. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, MLB regular season. There's a big UFC fight. There's Canelo's fighting, Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, you're right.
This is like one of my like veg out weekends where it's like I have 3 monitors here. I'm going to put 2 sports on each monitor and just stare at all 6 screens for 12 hours straight. And
That's
there's
awesome.
nothing anybody can do to get me out of my house.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. What's the bad news?
Hunter Dickinson just posted a graphic just now.
Of where he's going?
Dear Michigan, the initial decision for me to enter the portal was the hardest decision I've ever had to make. The thought of potentially leaving the place I love and called home for 3 years was and is extraordinarily difficult to process. After conversations with my family and a lot of time and thought, I realized entering the portal was the best decision for myself and my future. I've grown and learned so much in my 3 years at Michigan, and if I could do it all over again out of high school, there's no doubt in my mind I'd make the same choice. That being said, it's time for me to move on. Before I announce tomorrow where I'll be attending next year, I want to take this out. Tomorrow.
It's only a day away. Oh my god. That's so funny. Tip of the cap to you, sir. But he's not coming back then, huh? The dream is dead?
It appears so.
Oh man. Alright. Well, Hunter, tomorrow. Come on the show tomorrow and then we can record tomorrow so you technically aren't lying to people. And then we'll put it out on next Tuesday.
Yes. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what he does. And he's like, all right, it's tomorrow. I just recorded the podcast. It comes out on Monday. Like,
and then we could clip up like a teaser video and say like we just be on the lookout for this. We just recorded. I just released my decision. Right. And then we don't say anything till this. All right, that's it. Everybody enjoy the as TJ said, the best non-football sports weekend of the year. We'll be back on Tuesday. Like, subscribe, review, all that sort of stuff, and we'll see you guys then.